Hey everyone, thank you very much for watching my brand new video on how to look at your lateral links on your Grand Prix. This is just checking out a couple of the key things and seeing, what to look for, what to check, how to know if you need to get it done. So I'm not going to waste your time, but I will remind you, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know you guys like what I'm doing so I can keep putting out more content. Other than that, let's get right to it. Before we begin, you want to make sure you're jacking up your car correctly and safely. In this case here, while I'm using the trailing arm as my jack stand point, a better point actually would be to jack up the car and then use the jack stand on the rail. I'm using both right now to support the vehicle, but you really probably the best bet to use the jack stand on the rail itself. I wouldn't recommend using the drip edge, simply because, especially the older Grand Prix, but even these ones too, they can rust there. And if they get weak and you use the jack stand on your drip edge, it could bend it or break it in or anything like that. But aside from this one thing, I think we're ready to get started on checking things out. Alright, so in checking the lateral links, the first thing you're going to want to check is the bushings themselves. As you can see, there's two lateral links. There's a forward one and a back one. That'd be here and here. This attaches to this kind of subframe that runs right over here. And in there, you can see the rubber bushings. Those are the rubber pieces in between. There's there, and then where this runs down to, there, and there. And there's, of course, this is one side, and of course there's the other side as well. You're just going to be checking for any breaks, if they're cracked, fallen out, damaged. You're going to be looking for anything like that as your first step. And as you're checking that, you're also going to be checking your bolts as well, which is right over here. And I can see mine are fairly rusted and corroded. Getting to those, if and when I need to do this job, would be an interesting feat. It is worth noting that it is a bit of a pain to get the one back there because it's right by the gas tank, which means if you ever need to change this, you have to drop this whole subframe, which is kind of the bolts over there, and two on the other side. I won't bother to show you those, but two on the other side. But so you're checking those bolts to know if you need anything to worry about on that front. You're also checking these ones here and then the inside there, front and back. And you're also going to look down here and there to make sure that everything is still secured and there's no problems, no breaks, no damage, anything like that. Now this goes hand in hand. You'll probably notice it right away, but once you're checking these, you're going to make sure that they're not separating or loose from these parts or broken off entirely. That will of course be visually apparent. After you've done the checks on both your bushings, the bolts, and if there's any separation, you're going to want to check if there's any play. And to do that, you're just going to grab it and you're going to shake. You're going to listen for any unusual noise. You're going to also give it a twist and see if it moves back and forth, if there's any sort of play within it. Some of them, like these ones, are a little harder to do because they have like the e-brake cable that's attached. Also expect you're going to get a little bit dirty. And I also recommend, if you're going to be checking, especially up here more, you have some safety glasses on because rust and stuff can fall down onto you. And if they get into your eye, that's not a good thing at all. So you're just checking if there's any play, if there's any damage, anything like that whatsoever. We're moving that around, back and forth. Next up, you're going to want to be checking the treads over here. Let's get it better. Here. You want to be checking them to make sure they're still in good condition. This is crucially important because if you need to, especially if you're going to do any other suspension components too, and you need to do an alignment, if these are bad, worn, smoothed off, anything like that, you're not going to be able to do your adjustments. This can lead to, especially if you're doing the work yourself, will lead you to have to once again go into the car and do more work instead of getting it all done one shot. Or if you're having someone else do it for you, then it'll lead to extra labor because let's say you did your trailing arm or your struts or something, and then they have to adjust, and then we have to do now your lateral links, and someone's got to go back under the car. So just make sure these are good condition. Typically, in my opinion anyways, if the treads are already worn out and smooth, if they're rusted out or anything like that, and I mean really badly, then you may want to consider getting new ones done at the same time, because then you're not going to be able to do adjustments if all this is garbage. But I'm not talking like this. Like this is okay, it's corroded, but it's fine. I'm talking like heavily rusted, smoothed out, anything like that. And then the last thing you're going to check is how level these are. Now, while they're not as prone to bending as the trailing arms, so we'll watch my other video, I'll talk about that a bit more. these can bend, and they do sell some good quality ones and so on. But you want to check and see. Now, anything straight will work. In this case, I'm just going to use a level, and I'm going to place a level. Now, you may want to just give it a light sand or anything to get any of the corrosion off. And also keep in mind, even with that, whether you sand or not, you know, as it corrodes and rusts and everything, this does misshape. But what you're checking is just to see if there's any unusual bends. So I'm just going to put a level here. I'm not really actually using the level as a level, as in checking for balance, because that's kind of pointless in this angle in this item. But you're just going to kind of go around, and you're going to feel out if there's any type of bends or anything. And this, for example, like let's say I'm up here and I'm checking if there, or let's use down here. If there's a bend, so let's say it's like that and it's bent out, then this will kind of rock. That'll let you know as you check around, oh, you've got a bent lateral link and it needs to be changed. All right, this part here a little bit more difficult to do, but you get the idea. And all you're really just checking for is to see if it's leveled off again. Now here, let's see right here. Now mine's not bent, but because of rust, it does rock slightly, but it's just because of the rust on there. Like I said, I recommend cleaning it off. But it looks something, I'm using a piece of it to lift it. Let's see if I can replicate. You know, if it was bent, mine's actually in good condition, so it's hard to replicate it, but essentially if it's bent, again, it'll just rock. So that really is, those few steps is what you need to do to check your lateral links. Now, thank you very, very much for watching my brand new video. I hope it's helped you just kind of do some checks on your car and get to know your car a little bit better. Just a quick tip, of course, that when you're dropping the car, remember safety first. We didn't have to take the wheel off to do these checks, so as such, you're just going to drop the car, you raise the car up, remove your jack stand, and drop it down ever so gently. Remember safety, keep things away. If you've had any tools like a level or anything, keep it away from the tires. Make sure no one's underneath the car. Other than that, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next video.